I was practicing martial arts while everybody else was, I came from a corporate setup. After work, people will either go to a bar, watch a movie, have dinner. They would go out. Me, I was the outcast. I was the outsider because after clocking out, I would travel an hour and a half to a gym, train there late in the evening, go home beaten up and battered, and do the exact same thing all over again.
Yeah.
So my experience was totally different from my coworkers. They were questioning what I was doing. It reached the point wherein I was even questioning what I was doing.
Welcome everyone to episode number 16. Would you believe it's number 16 of Pinoy Martial Arts Mastermind? And today we have another doozy of a topic, which is investing in your martial arts training. And today, as usual, we have Dr. Sixto Carlos, founder of Carlos Hermanos Fight Club, as well as Urban Combatives Philippine Study Group. And he's also the founding head of Libre Fighting Philippines.
President of Calis Illustrisimo.
President of Calis Illustrisimo.
Repetition Original.
Repetition Original.
Original.
And his brother, Guru Baste Carlos, co-founder of Carlos Hermanos Fight Club and the supreme leader of Carlos Hermanos USA.
Supreme.
Global emperor of Carlos Hermanos Fight Club. And of course, Professor Franco Rolyoda of DefTac Philippines, and myself, Dax Cordero of That's Entertainment Thursday Group.
So the Supreme Lord of Cordero Dental Clinic.
Supreme Lord of nothing. So we're going to talk about investing in your martial arts training. So what exactly does this encompass? Sixto, what does that exactly mean when you invest? What is that?
Okay, at first thought, when you invest, you think of money. Of course, when you want to study a martial art, you need to spend money. You need to spend money on tuition, your uniform. Sometimes you only have a t-shirt in some clubs. In other clubs, you need to have a gi, right? Like in jiu-jitsu or in taekwondo. They have I'm not sure what they call that. They have the taekwondo uniform. You need the patches, etc. Pardon me?
Bobok, I think.
Bobok, okay.
And
but not only that, not only money, okay? Although money is a big component of that, you also need to invest time, a lot of time you train. You want to be good in it. The effort, of course, when you train, you need to put the effort in training. And another thing is, one thing which isn't discussed so much is what they call that? Wooing the instructor.
Wooing your instructor.
Wooing, for example, in my case, in my experience, before Mang Tony Diego of Calis Illustrisimo taught me in Baste, it took us 2 years of wooing him, of visiting him in Lunetas, saying hi, and sometimes he wouldn't, at the beginning, he wouldn't teach us what Bastet I did was we copied his other students, what they were doing. And when we started doing it well, that was the time when he started to teach us directly.
the thing with martial arts, well, especially traditional martial arts, is quote unquote tradition, right? I mean, like, well, what does it involve? It involves like dedication to your master. So one thing that people kind of mistake things from like when people say like master never charged me anything, they never charge anything like maybe like cash directly as a tuition, and people mistake this as like, oh, somebody got it for free, I should get it for free too. So well, but going back to like exactly what my brother was alluding to, I had to even like in between training, like, and it's on video, maybe, I wouldn't mention grandmasters names right now, but I have video of massaging the master's back and the arms, and he's like, yeah, push me here, push me there, like, oh yes, yes, like, you're giving all these massages, and then I get a phone back.
Massages.
The
It's like,
massages.
yeah, well, in public, all right, not in a
Okay.
situation.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, no,
Clean
nothing like that.
massage. It's a clean massage.
I do have my limits, although I do have heard rumors about some masters, who have passed away, that those have happened. But yeah, forget about that. But yeah, like, or getting a back then we only had beepers, no cell phones, and I'd get a beep like, oh, Basti, like, pick me up or whatever, and I'm gonna call the guy back up, like, hey, what's pick you up where? Then I don't have my sticks, I don't have any knives, maybe let's do empty hands. Sure, and then I'll pick the guy up, and later on, like, oh, drive me here, drive me there, and I wasn't pissed, honestly. I was like stuck with the guy for like a whole day, thinking that I'm driving him around Metro Manila through traffic, and even like outside of Metro Manila through traffic, and going to places I've never been to before, even like GPSs were even out in the public, or like easily, like, used in the public, so, or available. So, like, I'm going to places, then yeah, I mean, like, I'm stuck with a guy for an hour just waiting in the car, or he's gonna be like, oh, I have this meeting, sit here. Then I'm just seeing them
An
they're like
hour?
talking to each other. And
An hour?
this
It's half a day.
no, I'm saying like an hour, like a half a day.
It's half a day. Yeah.
And the guy comes back and like, oh, sorry, I forgot about you. Are you okay? And then I'm like, yeah. Oh, you look like you need some food. Here, eat some food. You're gonna need some food for us to drive me back. I thought like he's gonna say home. No, to drive me back to another meeting. I'm like, oh, holy shit. Okay, whatever. Even before the time of the cell phones, imagine you're staring at the ceiling, or you're staring at your watch, and you just let the hours go by, and you're like, oh shit, what time is this gonna end?
Ako, Franco, I have a question for you. Kasi, the brothers Carlos are talking about wooing their masters, no? But for you, what does that entail when you say investing in your martial arts training?
Me, when it comes to investing, it's an entire, how do I put this? It's an entire experience, because you put in money. So you pay for the classes, you pay for your transportation to the location of the gym, you have to invest your time. I think more than anything, the most important uh, ingredient when it comes to investing, especially in today's landscape, is your dedication and your allotting of time to attend those classes and get better. Then, of course, you're gonna try it out, and then here's the thing: once you get hooked or you get addicted to whatever it is that you're training, whether it's martial arts or any kind of sport, you tend to adhere to that lifestyle. So more or less, you tend to not just pay for the classes, you pay for and the equipment. You also pay for the lifestyle that entails or that comes with it. So that's why a lot of brands that are working with athletes or any it goes for sports and martial arts brands. They not only sell the product lines that are primarily focused on their on the sport or the martial arts that they're in. Ngayon, you see caps, you see shirts, you see shorts, 'di ba? For example, in the jiu-jitsu community lang, before it was just training equipment. It was the gi, Mueller tapes, knee pads, knee sleeves. Now it's an entire array of product lines that are for training, So you want to look good during training. You want to express yourself that way. So now there's an array of different rash guards, MMA shorts, different lines of gis. But at the same time, they also go beyond the confines of
Yes.
the gym. Now you have water bottles, diba? You have your squeeze bottles. You have stickers. You have stickers. You have caps. You have hoodies.
Okay.
Anything that will allow you to express the art or the sport that you're training in a mainstream or in an outside setting. So those are the things that come into play when you say you are investing.
And another thing, Franco, is I noticed when I see you on Facebook, after training, you have to go out with your students, you have to go out with
Yep,
your tribe, right?
yep,
And you,
definitely. Because
yeah,
as a coach, you want to cultivate that harmonious community because now it not only caters to uh, you're not only cultivating a very healthy training environment, but you want to build relationships. Training martial arts is a very sentimental thing, especially for me. So it just goes to show that the level of importance that I give to the craft and at the same time my students. So if I want to factor that in, a huge chunk of it will come with time. So yun din yun.
Basically,
So let's put in relationships as well. I think we
uh,
can also put in relationships.
basically when we say in investing, no, is that it's like what you need to put in to be able to reap the benefits of your training. You know? So
Mm,
all of these things come into play. So the wooing of your instructors, of course, training hard, buying
mm.
equipment, buying the paraphernalia, paying your fees, because all of this has a return. No, and it's not merely just investing money. Of course, that plays a big role in it, but we're all in agreement that it's not just that. Um, Perfect examples of these investments, no, or organizations that have been very systematic in terms of managing their students are jiu-jitsu, Brazilian
Mhm.
jiu-jitsu, karate,
yes.
taekwondo, no. Could you expound on that, Franco? Like how is that? How are these systems? How have they been able to maintain such a systematic way of managing their students?
I really think that the number one on that list is Taekwondo. Not only is Taekwondo been there for the longest time, they were able to evolve and improve their systems throughout the years. So of course, you have a set of kimonos, you have your uniform, you have your belt ranking
Arm,
system,
armor.
you have your body armors, your shin guards, your shin pads, your elbow supports, your helmet. So everything that comes with Taekwondo and training in Taekwondo, okay, coincides with all the products that are out there. And
Yes.
ito rin yun a huge factor that contributes to that is the curriculum. So your curriculum is based on doing a set of katas, repetition of these katas, and
Pumse.
then
It's pumse.
yung pumse, and then later on they introduced tawag dito sparring. So since students are sparring, that comes into play na. You have to have your protective gear, you have to have your helmet, you have to have your shoes. So I mean it's a
They,
very well-oiled machine eh.
it's an Olympic sport.
Yung pa. Huge
So,
factor as well. So the popularity is on a global scale. I
yeah.
think jiu-jitsu is slowly following that trend. Before everyone just needed a jiu-jitsu gi or a jiu-jitsu kimono. Now, with very good point by Baste, as the sport grew and the competition scene got bigger, the governing bodies also adjusted and improved the rules. I mean, if we're calling them improvements, so it had to cater to a bigger audience. It had to place in a lot of revisions, kumbaga, because the primary concern is always safety. So now there are certain moves that were implemented before that are considered illegal now.
Yeah.
So I mean and jiu-jitsu still evolving. Jiu-jitsu still um how jiu-jitsu still uh, doing their best to improve how they package the art. Kasi in as much as there are a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners and coaches, it hasn't broken into the mainstream yet.
So we can actually see the growth and the beauty in this of the systematizing of these
Mm,
martial arts.
Yes.
No? So we have jiu-jitsu, which is developing. We have the old timers like karate, judo, no, taekwondo. Now, with all these systems, would you say that would you be able to say the same for Filipino martial arts? Any of the two brothers care to chime in?
Before they answer, I think the thing about the entire Filipino martial arts scene is if they ito yun because baka bago na naman ako as someone who gets to train FMA and combatives on a sparingly basis, and the way I see the community is there's no system when it comes. I don't know, please educate me here. I don't know the structure. If ito yun I belong to the jiu-jitsu community and the mixed martial arts community. The moment I get to train combatives and weapons training with Doc Sixto, my common question will always be, how do you promote guys? How do people become coaches here? So I'm very eager to know the answer now.
Sixto, you had a very hearty laugh when Franco made these comments.
Okay, I think Buster can explain more of the American side, what's happening there. I'll explain more on the Philippine side. The thing about, my personal belief is, I'm not sure if everybody would agree with me, martial arts in general, it's a reflection of the culture. Look at the Japanese martial arts, it's very organized, right? Like Wando, it's actually a lot of what they do is based on the Japanese, so it's still very organized. Look at Judo, it's also very organized. BJJ, it's a bit more, I'm sure you will agree, Franco, they're a bit more relaxed, a bit more laid back, right? But more or less, they're getting there. In FMA, Filipino martial arts, the word there is Filipino. Our culture is so chaotic, like what's happening now. The martial art is a reflection of our culture. So I guess that's it. It is so disorganized in Filipino martial arts.
Yeah, well, the thing is like, it's a reflection of the culture, but it's also a reflection of its evolution, right? Like every other martial art also started where the FMA is currently. I mean, like judo, what was judo before? It was like all these like segmented schools. All took a Jigoro Kano to like
standardize everything.
And make it all like a whole system. Belt ranking was not there before. You see like Okinawan masters just wearing their underwear training way back. They don't have gis. The gis were introduced in karate like quote unquote in modern times. But and Gichin Funakoshi, like the father of karate, when was that just done? He organized stuff. And it's a matter of evolution of like even like taekwondo, like you have like a governing body, right? Well, you have ITF and WTF, but let's just talk about in general WTF for now. But you have a governing body on top saying, organizing everything. This is what's done. Screw you all. I don't care about your individual like expressions of the art. This is the art. You know what I mean? Although of course it's a sport, so everybody has their own take on how to fight. And then what I'm just talking about is like Pumse is all like regulated and uniforms are regulated and all that. Same thing with BJJ. You have like a unified set of rules. With Arnis FMA, where are we in the evolution? My question is like, is it a sport? It's in the middle. Nobody knows. They wants it to be like, future Olympic sport. Everybody like wants to keep it as a traditional art, so on and so forth. So I think like it's a reflection of its evolution and culture, maybe to put it together with my brother. And with the chaos, the thing with the chaos is that like whoever sees chaos sees opportunity, and that's where Americans come. And that's one thing. So many times you say like, the master in the Philippines like died poor, and then you have like some guy in the US making money during the advent of like DVDs and all that. But where this guy like performed arbitrage, he saw the chaos from the US, Philippines. He invested money flying back and say like, oh, okay, wow. Nobody wants to organize this. I'll organize it myself.
Okay, in terms of investing,
You can include Libre, okay?
yeah. Ako, I've always been a firm believer of, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Now, what does that mean exactly? If you want something badly, then you have to pay for it. Now, I'm not exactly the most liquid person, but I started training with you guys, Sixto, Baste.
Oh, you started training with somebody else anyway.
Yes, I did. Okay. So sige. Let's put that in the discussion. Okay.
Include that.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Okay, because I really wanted to get into Filipino martial arts, and I joined a different club group. Yes, and to make a long story short, I spent money, and I didn't get anything in substantial in return. So, but what the good thing about this was, okay, that this group was practicing very near my house. Well, a lot nearer than where I eventually ended up in. It is very near my house, like probably 10 minutes away. Very convenient. The hours were very, very convenient, very regular. The people were nice, but then I just didn't feel that I was getting the right training. And then in comes Sixto. At that point, I had known Sixto and Baste
20 years.
20 years.
But you trained with somebody else.
I know. No, but
Okay,
because I was intimidated by you guys. But in any case, okay. Just to put it in perspective, the place that I was training in, that the time was probably 10 minutes away from my house. Baste and Sixto's gym is about 2 hours away from my house.
2 hours.
2 hours away from my house. But
Through traffic.
without traffic. Okay, with traffic it's like 3 hours. Anyway.
So that's part of your investment.
Yes. But okay. Here's the thing. I found it infinitely better. Obviously I'm still here with you guys after all these years, but I did not mind at all that I would drive 3 hours to get to your place and then 3 hours going home. It would be a whole day affair for like a 3-hour training day. It would be a full day, and I didn't mind it. Not a few people would call me really stupid because why would you do that? Hey, you have so many places to train here. But it's an example of investing. So I invested my time away from my work, time away from family, to be able to train the kind of training that I felt that I deserved, for my efforts. But anyway, enough about me. I want to get to you guys. Baste, I'm going to go back to Baste. Baste, personal experiences.
The Masul. The Masul. Stony hand Baste.
I have healing hands aside from yeah. Just like you and me, my first job out of college was like working for a hotel. So I worked the graveyard shift. So that was like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And most of our masters would train on what? Sundays. So Luneta, I would get there like maybe at around 10 or 11 since I needed to clock out. People would be training already. Once I get there, the masters would be already in their kind of siesta or lunch mood, and then I'm there waiting, and they'd have like visitors from abroad. Of course, being Filipino, we're very accommodating, and I don't know, it's in our culture. We love entertaining foreigners for some reason, until like I'm sitting there for 3 hours with my like dos manos, just like no cell phone back then, just like staring at the sky. And then on like, here's the master like walking away, and I'm just like, wait, they're leaving. They didn't even like acknowledge me. And then later the master would be like, or Mang Tono, you'd be like, oh, you're there. oh, yeah, oh, wait. Let's do your dos manos. We do it for 10 minutes. Then it's gone. So people always think that, just go there, the master will train. No, it's not like that,
No,
It's
doesn't happen that way. No.
not true. Or sometimes like I'm there and you can understand like these guys also had hard jobs. Bang Tony was like at the port, very stressful job.
At the
So
pier,
being in
yeah.
Luneta was his like stress reliever, right? So he would have friends or even acquaintances come over and they would have like a nice chat and even like forget about time. And later on, yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, wait. Well, as soon as I like hand over, like Mang Tony was loved the cockfighting. So my brother and I would bring these like cockfighting magazines. As soon as
Yeah.
I cockfighting magazine, then he'll lighten up and he'll like, oh, wait. Let me show you the new like
Weeks. Yeah.
Punta Idaga like sequence. So I'm like, okay. So but me like sitting there for like 4 hours, just staring at the sky without even like assurance that I would train. It's different when you're expecting something.
Yeah,
Wait 4
that's true.
hours, 5 hours, and then I'm gonna be like spending an hour with this instructor. No, you're sitting there for like 5 hours, and then sometimes it's just like, oh, how are you? I'll see you next week. Sorry, we have a guest from Australia. And I'm like, okay, and that's after driving for like 2 hours, 1 hour through traffic.
Yes,
or
but yes, I agree with you. There was no assurance of being taught or being trained that day. I remember that. But the thing is, it's not unique in that group. It was also typical with the other groups that we trained with,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Sure, we also did that. My brother and I went to a semi like more
structured classes, or they have
Yeah.
a regular schedule. Okay.
Yeah, and when we paid, but then we're like after 2 sessions, we're like we're not
One.
getting.
One session. It was one session. I hurt my shoulder. I remember that. One session.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys really meant well, but it just
They
wasn't
meant
stuff
well,
we wanted.
but they just sucked, okay?
Yeah, so it just wasn't stuff we wanted. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you really wanted to get what you want, you
Yes,
gotta
yes.
spend time and effort to get what you want.
Time, effort, money.
But going back to exact examples, like my brother and I would get like a call, drive me here, drive me there. Again, I'll drive like Leo Gahe for like hours and a full day without assurance of training.
Oh,
Without
okay. Okay, I remember way back in '94, we were promised, okay, no names. Okay, you fly to the province and you'll have a 1 week training. I think 5 of us were invited to go there. 2 of us went, me and John Malihan, is now in Australia. So we fly there. And I actually didn't want to go. Then John said, "Six already borrowed money, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's go." When we went there was no camp. There was no training. When we arrived there, oh, by the way, guys, the 2 of you are fighting. You're competing now. And we fought. Well, I won, but I was expecting a 1 week training.
Relaxed.
I was romanticizing it before. I learned this. I'll become a badass mofo when I come back to Manila. No, then I call up Baste. Hey, Baste, I want a tournament. What? You want a tournament? Yeah, I want. I thought you have a camp there. There's no camp. It's just a tournament. Then what happened was the guy who invited. Okay, just a second. The guy who invited us right after the tournament left the province, and we were stuck there for a few more days. But somebody else trained us, but not the guy who we wanted to train with. Anyway, Franco.
No, because now with everything that you guys are sharing, so now there's a group of students. I see 2 angles. I see 2 spectrums here. One is the students who are romanticizing their journey of martial arts. So now there's a certain level of sentimental and emotional investment. But here comes these instructors and coaches who probably knew that there would be people who romanticize these things. That's why they take advantage of it. So now, I mean, these are just questions that are popping out of my head. with the instructors that you were trying to woo or court or get into the good side of, did they were they holding regular classes? Was there like an actual class, an actual schedule, or was it just no? This is like the informal schedule in Luneta, so on and so forth. We will be there. If we're not there,
Uh,
then it's not our
it's
fault.
more. I think it's more informal.
Okay, so now, because now this is what's happening, eh? Uh, there are people who are willing and are invested to learn, and they're seeking masters. However, there are those masters who recognize these types of individuals based on, for sure, they know these people. For sure, during that time, they know that you were eager, so they also know that they could take advantage of the situation. So I think it goes both ways. They took advantage of that situation in order to get students or to get whatever they want from people. So
Possibly,
that
it's
probably
possible.
so that's another possible reason that led to their demise, because now of course you had that experience, and I'm pretty sure you are not the only people that had that experience with them.
Yeah.
And
There
people talk, diba? And
was
people
a
talk.
guy. Okay, this is bad. There was a guy who flew from the States. He flew from the States. Then when he started training, all they did was just discussions for 3, 4 days. After a few days, this guy decided, oh, I'm wasting my time here. Got a
Exactly.
ticket, went back to the States. He was
Okay.
supposed to stay for a month, but after a few days of just talking, decided just to leave.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you know what you guys, okay, you had to go through all these things. But if I may ask, of course, there was some money involved when you trained. Do you think that the money that you paid was was substantial, or was it, or did you feel that it was low? Because I'm trying to figure out why this sort of treatment for you guys, like Baste standing for hours, not being
Mm.
taught. Do you think that you were paying the person enough? Maybe there was some resentment on the part of the master because he felt,
You have a point there because money was not really discussed.
because maybe that's the
Uh,
thing. Because I noticed, if with the exception of that one person from the US, I noticed that even now it seems that when people from the States or from abroad, when they come here, they get special treatment. They get a whole day or whatever. They
okay,
get a whole
that's
camp.
okay. That's a different discussion again.
Okay, all right.
That's
Okay,
a different
okay.
discussion
No, no,
again.
Daming bunga
but
ng
no, no.
discussion na to,
I digress. No, but the thing is, yeah, but I just noticed that there might, I'm just thinking here, maybe it had something to do with it. Maybe they didn't feel like they were getting paid enough or being.
I would say no. Like I would say it all goes back to the culture, because the culture is like depends on like how you see it and how your relationship really is. Traditional instructors, like real traditional instructors, would treat you like an apprentice or actually a candidate for an extended
No,
family.
yeah, I understand that. I
That's what
understand
I'm
that. But
saying.
but but my question is, okay, let's get specific. How much did you pay a particular master who didn't treat
So
you well?
us before
Yeah.
we were nice. During the 90s, we used to pay more than 100 per session was steady, but
Which is a good amount.
That's a good amount.
That's a
yeah,
good amount.
during the
That's a
90s,
good amount.
we were quite
Yeah.
we were quite nice.
But was it the standard charge, or you
Or did you
pay according
or
to your
pay less?
capacity?
Back then, no. Some would just pay 20 pesos, 5 pesos. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Or how much they can afford. Yeah.
Basta you
But
could
but
No, but
again,
that's what
hit
I'm
it on
saying.
the
Like
head.
it's the culture where like if you're treated like family, then you treat your students like if you treat your like prospective or apprentice like a prospective future member of the extended family, then you treat them like family. And how do a lot of Filipino fathers treat their children? It's more like, oh, I have a guest. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Guest from the US. Oh, I forgot. I gave all my lunch. I gave all the what we ever cooked for lunch to the guest. Oh, sorry, here, have a little bit of food. But that's how it works. You know what I mean? Because you think like this is family. This kid is never gonna leave you because it's family.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So this is family. This kid will do everything to stay with the family too. So that's what I see is like with the culture.
So for Baste and Doc Sixto during that time, so you were trying to court and woo your masters. Was it worth it? Like after when they took you under their wings, was the entire process worth it?
To be frank, okay, I'll keep it short. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Ako,
Yeah.
okay. Understand, okay, but the both of you, Sixto and Baste, I understand that because I understand that you had to go through these things because, as we established before, FMA is not as well established as the other
It's
martial arts.
organized.
It's as not as organized. But I'm interested in what Franco, you
Mm,
have you had to because you know jiu-jitsu is much more organized than the
mm.
FMA. You have you
Uh,
have a
Not
did
during
you have
this time.
okay.
Not during my time.
Yeah. But did
Not
you
during my
did
time.
you
But
also
Franco,
have
remember, you had to fight somebody.
Yeah, went through the natural process of
About the
hazing.
process. I remember that. I got a few hits during the
Uh,
jiu-jitsu that time. Anyway,
mm.
okay.
yes.
No, but the thing is, I didn't really experience the whole traditional martial arts way of getting accepted. For in my experience, jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts, and any other martial arts that I got to train in, it was a group dynamic. It was a group dynamic. So there's a coach and there's a pool of students. So the wooing process for me was to be accepted in that tribe. It was for me to get through. It was for me to go through the process to be accepted within that community. So that was my wooing process. And then, of course, the entire thing. I'm gonna put everything in under one scope. Uh, the main resource that I had to put in order to make this whole thing worth it. That's why I asked that question was not only my time, but the emotions that I had to invest in order to grow in this journey. Because I was practicing martial arts while everybody else was, I came from a corporate setup. After work, people will either go to a bar, watch a movie, have dinner. They would go out. Me, I was the outcast. I was the outsider because after clocking out, I would travel an hour and a half to a gym, train there late in the evening, go home beaten up and battered, and do the exact same thing all over again.
Yeah.
So my experience was totally different from my coworkers. They were questioning what I was doing. It reached the point wherein I was even questioning what I was doing. I would go to work like not only was I physically tired, I was mentally tired, I was emotionally tired. But again, when I was so happy when Doc Sixta said that everything was worth it because
Yeah.
that's my answer.
Yeah.
I was doing something that not everyone was doing. I was doing something that nobody really understood, but I understood it. It had meaning to me. So
It's true.
for me, it's
So true.
yes. The answer is also yes. It was worth it. I mean, I didn't have a car. I would be commuting. I would be the odd guy in a bus or in a shuttle, having that huge gym bag. If
You,
it was
you,
raining,
you wear a gi in the bus?
no, my gym bag was big. Everybody was. Everybody.
I can imagine that. Frank. I can imagine
Diba?
that.
People were having small. People were using backpacks.
Jujitsu.
Diba?
Jujitsu.
I was carrying a huge bag because my gis and my gear were there. If it was sunny, it was fine. If it was summer, I would be sweating. If it was raining, I would be dripping, and I would take certain measures and I would sacrifice a lot so that I could save money and I could buy stuff. I mean, I posted this story before. Everyone thought that everything came easy. I told them no. My very first jiu-jitsu tournament, I had to borrow a gi because I couldn't afford one. And I mean, those are the things that makes the entire experience worth it. That's why, yes, my answer is also yes. It was all worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, now listening to your stories, no, and okay, so you went through all these sacrifices, Baste, Sixto, Franco, and to me they're over and beyond what is expected from a student.
Yeah,
But
because Dax, you used money. Anyway,
like I said, I don't spend money, I make money.
Yeah.
but and look at you guys now. I mean, Franco, you're a respected instructor and also a champion jiu-jitsu fighter internationally, by the way.
champion
And
athletes, yeah.
yes, and Baste, of course, and Sixto, you've established you've established your own system that's actually world known, no? So, but it all was born out of the sacrifices that you made, the investments that you made. Now, would you consider yourself fanatical investors in the martial arts, or is there such a thing? Is there such a thing as fanatical investors in martial arts?
Kami, us,
Yes.
I would believe so. The amount of time,
Yeah.
money, research, and we buy a lot of equipment, books, and also training other things like strength and conditioning. Yes, I would consider myself as part of that group. I'm a fanatical investor.
I think we're crazy fanaticals.
But
Yeah,
We're crazy.
Baste has
not rich crazy, just
Oh,
crazy.
Just crazy.
Baste has 2 bubs in his apartment.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, what are you? Are you a martial artist? Are you an athlete? I mean, like, what are you? What's your brand? What makes you? You know what I mean?
That's right. That's
Like,
right.
and that's the thing about investing. Like, you invest time. Like, yeah, I remember. Like, now I get flashbacks on like my friends on Mondays. Like, they would talk about all their Saturday night games. They have no stories to tell because like I'm training. Oh wow, okay.
Speaking of equipment and investments,
I have 2, but they're already wrapped in bubble wrap. Moving soon. So yeah, it took me
my
like
my
again.
wife hates this. Anyway.
Oh yeah, well that's your mistress, whatever. But yeah, I mean like going back, like people would be talking about what did you do Saturday night and Sunday. I couldn't talk about anything because like Sundays typically like what, like teenagers and guys in their early 20s. Sundays they would be like sleeping in because they'll be partying the whole Saturday night. My brother and I would be instead like picking up like a master who likes to wake up early and train early at like 6 in the morning,
No,
an
sometimes
hour,
4.
or
4 in the morning,
Sometimes 4.
while you're still trying to digest the heavy spaghetti dinner you had the night before. And actually the night before will be coming from training from another martial art. And, so yeah, what else do you invest in? You invest time. The path to greatness is sacrifice. You sacrifice something else. We kind of sacrificed our youthful social life for this.
Lots of
but-
sleep. Lots of sleep.
Yeah, loss of sleep. If you talk about fanatical investing again, the question is like, what are you? What do you want to be? What do you want to be called? And who cares? What do you think of yourself? That's the most important thing.
Amen.
The thing
Amen.
is like people always complain like, you're charging too much. I'm like, too much. I'm just even like below the market rate. What are you talking about? This guy like on the internet charging like $100 an hour
Okay.
and honest, and all that stuff. And these people are like, oh, you're charging so much, or I have no money to pay my master. Like, how much do you need to pay him? Like, just 100 pesos or 200 pesos, 300 pesos, and then they complain. And I'm like, really? What about that knife you just bought the other day? That's like how much? That's like 3,000 pesos. So are you a knife collector or are you a martial artist? How much do you spend on like,
Good
people?
point. Good point.
Yeah, I have no money. Like even when I was in weightlifting, I have no money to pay a coach. Okay, then the next day you see them with what? All these like
expensive gear.
that I wouldn't even buy. I'd be buying
Yes,
cheap
yes.
Chinese weightlifting shoes, and these guys would have expensive like Nikes, but they wouldn't spend money on like instructors. Why? Because I think that I could ask like my friend who's a coach who's training with me at the gym some pointers. I'm like, these guys, not unless you're really, really good friends and best friends, then great. You know, they would give you the time. But if you're thinking you're gonna get thrown a bone, you'll be thrown a bone once in a while. But that's not coaching. That's just giving tips once in a while, and that's gonna take you longer to get to where you're trying to go. If you want to get to where you want to be faster, or even to get to the point you want to get to, you have to invest.
Right.
Okay, but let me tell you a story what Bastel did, okay? Okay, he was away for several years when he went to the States. So he comes here, he wanted to train. Other guys, when they come back here from the States after being gone for a decade, they go to Boracay, they go to Bohol, Siargao, or a lot of those wonderful
Touristy places.
touristy places where you can enjoy, look at girls, party, etc. What Bastet did was came here, trained. I accompanied him. We would train in Binondo. 4 hours. We would start. We will go to this place. It's not exactly clean. It's not exactly safe, and you can smell the pollution. And we train until 1 a.m. That's what Bastet did for 2 weeks. And
Walking up like
sometimes
what, 6? How many flights of stairs?
five, 5 or 6, yeah, 5 or 6 flights of stairs, steep
With our gear.
with our gear. And it's not a safe place. I remember that's what Bastet did 2 weeks, and I told him next time when you come back here, at least go to Boracay for 3 days and train for a week. I was already telling him that, but again, it's a choice. Bastet decided to train 2 weeks straight, 4 or 5 hours a night until 1 a.m. So kudos to him.
Even up to now, like when I go on quote unquote vacation to Manila, like more than half of the time, maybe even like
3/4
80% of my time is training. You know, and that's me. Because what am I? Like, I'm a martial arts nerd, and that's what I want to do. So I invest my time. I invest my vacation time. Some people would say like, why the hell are you not at the beach? Where's your? I thought the Philippines had like good scuba, good. Or like, why are you like with all these stupid swords? Like, and I'm like, well, that's me. You know, that's what I go there for. You know, I just love to eat and train. So,
Yeah,
I think it's not only investing in money, investing in time and in emotion. So that's it.
It's a that word investment in this topic is so apt. It's so appropriate. No? I'd like to thank our friend Ramon from Kiro for suggesting this. Ramon Jorge. Ramon.
It was his this topic, this discussion. Now it was his idea.
Yeah. Shout out to Ramon.
Ramon.
Secretary of Calis Illustrisimo Repetition Original in Luneta.
Feel free to suggest more topics.
Yep. Anyway, any topics that you want us to discuss, put them in the comment section. If you have feedback regarding this discussion, put them in the comment section as well. Then ako, like, since we're revolving around the topic of investing, since I really hope that people who are going to watch and listen to this will learn from the valid points that we're taking, because martial arts is a very tricky spot to be in terms of monetizing it and earning.
Oh
from
yeah.
Diba? So I mean, I think Doc Sixto and sila Bastel, you guys have the best stories, and when it comes to unappreciated masters that like early we've been discussing this in the early episodes. Like, there are a lot of martial arts masters that died poor. Is this an indicator of a lack of relationship, a lack of appreciation, and or we can connect it to the previous discussion of masters taking advantage of the romanticized and sentimental approach of certain students, that it becomes, alam mo yun, it becomes their avenue to take advantage or probably abuse, diba, whatever ranks that they may have, in order to impart that knowledge. Kumbaga, they're holding these people ransom, diba? So you that's the transaction. It's not a monetary transaction, but it is a human to human transaction wherein you want to learn from me, you have to do what you have to do as I say, diba? So that probably led to that level. So that is the relationship that got established. So now, because now, I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. I see a lot of people on Facebook. I mean, if no one's calling them out, I'm gonna say it here. Everyone's like posting on all these Facebook groups and on their personal Facebooks, like, I want to put reverence to so and so master. I want to mention that I learned from so and so master, but nobody really helped them.
Yeah.
Nobody really helped them. Like, there's probably a few, but it was not enough to give a proper sustaining lifestyle to your coaches or to your masters. So you call them masters, you call them your family, but you took advantage of them.
Yeah, actually,
they probably took advantage of you. That's why there was no bond.
Yeah, we've been talking about investing, and then you guys have been also talking about being fanatical investors. No? So giving beyond what is normal, no, to be able to attain what you have achieved so far. Now, on the flip side, no, and I think this is, I'm trying to rephrase Franco's question, no, but see, we're talking about the flip side now, no. So that's what Franco's describing. So we've seen fanatical investors, people who really want to train and they know that they have to pay. Are there people on the flip side? And I think yes. No. So he's illustrating that. Have you had any experience with such people? And how do you spot these people?
Doc, how do you spot assholes, Doc?
Okay. Let's call them, if you have the fanatical investors, you have the asshole non-investors. Okay, people who want to get a free lunch. All right.
Because in my experience in martial arts and in Filipino martial arts, a lot of guys, they don't want to spend money on their lessons. But this is the bad thing about it. They themselves, they want to make money, but they're not willing to invest. I've met quite a few who are like that, and they are so irritating. My personal belief is your instructor should be able to make a living out of teaching, so they can focus on this. Maybe not, let's say not a full-time instructor, but as a part-time instructor, because of course they, instead of working extra, they're teaching. So they have to make money during the time that they're teaching, and of course they need to buy equipment. They have to travel to the training venue, and if they have a training venue, they have to pay rent, etc. So a lot of people, sad to say, they don't want to pay if they can get away with it. And personally, I've experienced that, because what happens in FMA, and anyway, I've experienced this in FMA. A lot of people, they go there and they don't pay before the training, they pay after. I've even heard of some students, what happens is they train. Okay, one of my students taught this guy. He will remain unnamed. They were training, and this guy said, "Hey, I'll just get a drink. I'll just get water." You know what this guy did? Never went back. Never paid.
Ang gago.
And the sad thing is, this is not uncommon. This happens a lot. This happens a lot. It's sad. It's so sad.
Oh, that's my problem with Filipinos in general. You want world-class instructions, you want world-class coaches, but you don't want to pay the price.
Yeah.
No. I don't want to get it. I don't get it.
That's true. Like when we organize our seminars, especially when we get people from abroad, we have to pay for the airfare, the hotel, and people complain it's so expensive. How come it's so expensive? And they're angry. I'm like, if you don't want to, if you find it too expensive, then don't come. But
yes,
there's the people.
And one thing they will tell you is, hey, if you really love your art, You're not after money.
Yeah, that's true.
I said bullshit.
It's a very bullshit. And I think it's gonna revert back to what Baste said earlier. It's all about culture. It's how us Filipinos as a society was molded, and it's always the hiya factor. I think based on the stories that I've
Oh
been
my
hearing
God,
from
the
the two of
hiya
you, it's
factor.
it's the hiya factor.
The hiya
It's the
factor.
nakakahiya. It's
Okay,
the
personally, in my case, I'm very upfront.
mm,
Pay me this much.
mm,
Because if you look at my equipment, I have a lot of equipment. I even have more equipment than a lot of gyms here. So I would say it all goes to the equipment.
Yeah, for
mm,
people who don't speak Tagalog, the hiya factor is like it's you're embarrassed. You're embarrassed
Embarrassed.
to
mm,
ask for money, and it's very common here. Like you
mm,
teach somebody, and you feel like it's not worth what you're asking for, and you get embarrassed to ask the person. And sometimes people get away with it. They take advantage,
mm.
and
Yes,
they get
yes, that's the
lessons for
thing.
free. They get
A lot of
lessons.
people take advantage of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, it all boils down to, I guess, the lack of business sense
Mm-hmm.
with a lot
Oh
of
yeah, yeah,
teachers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, what can you say about that? I'm like, is there do you ha- do most teachers, do they need, you think they need help, like outside help, advisors or whatnot?
Yes, because business, let's say like marketing, accounting, etc. That's a different skill set from being a good instructor.
Mhm. Oh, I agree. Agree 100%. There has to be distinction between the business side and the coaching side. A coach or an owner of a gym cannot be both. You have to it's either you multitask. Sorry, you it's either you delegate or for me the way I do it is you get a good understanding, a proficient level of understanding of everything. But at the end of the day, if you want to focus on teaching, you focus on the teaching. If you want to focus on the business side or the business side of running the gym, then you focus on that. Because if you try to do both, it's gonna close down. It's not gonna happen.
Okay, one thing I do to circumvent that. When I organize seminars, sometimes with
Mm,
Master Arnold,
mm.
or my own seminars, what I do is I actually contact DAX.
Yun, di ba? You're
Because
delegating.
you have to delegate somebody to
Yeah.
organize the seminar or the tournament. Because if it's the instructor himself who would
Mm.
organize it, a lot of douchebag dipshits would
Yep.
just tell the instructor, "I'm sorry, master, I don't have money right now.
Yeah.
I really want to attend
Then
that, but I don't have money." Man, I have heard that so much,
still
so
happens
often,
today.
so often. So what we did with our seminars is, okay, you want to attend the seminar? Please talk to Dax. He's the
Mm.
guy who collects the money.
Yep. That's the way to
So
go.
that's the way you have to delegate it. You really have to delegate
And
it.
I add 500 pesos to the actual.
No, but kidding aside, I'm
Yeah.
not against that
Yeah,
because
why not? As long as you get
uh,
what you ask for, then
and I've seen Dax. It's a
The legwork.
headache. It's a headache to collect money. Remember one of the urban combative seminars we did? There was this foreigner who kept on saying, "Oh, I know Lee Morrison, blah 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 blah." And Dax, I don't know how many times you were supposed to meet,
yeah,
blah blah
yeah.
blah. I'll pay in advance, blah 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 blah.
Because he doesn't have he doesn't have an access to a computer. He has PTSD, and he can't go online, and all these
What?
things. Yeah. And in the end, he said I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna pay full price. Never came. So
That guy's an idiot.
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's why we're very strict. Please pay us in advance.
Mhm.
Anyway, Baste, what do you think about this? About the business part of teaching or maintaining a club?
Well, again, like you have to establish on whether the instructor does it as a hobby, does it as his like part of preserving a culture, does it as part of like a business, or all of it. You know what I mean? So it all depends on that. Like, in fairness, like a lot of these masters who died poor also didn't necessarily do it for the business. You know, they were,
Yes.
some of them
This passion.
actually got something else from martial arts. You know, that was their social life. You know, you could see like the whole Sunday they'll be at the park and they have like visitors from everywhere or friends or even like students. You know, that kept them company. You know, that would, I would say, be the equivalent of like, always told myself like, you know, maybe I want to be a martial arts grandmaster, traditional one. Why? You know, because at least I'll know that, you know, even if I get into old age, I'll have like all these young students and young
Take
apprentices.
care of you.
Yeah, who would be there, you know, and I've seen that happen too. Again, it's more of like a concept of family for these guys. So I wouldn't think necessarily on a flip side that it's fair to say these guys died poor. Um, that, you know, I would, and that was also like a reflection of culture, because those were like what, 2-3 generations ago. Let's talk more about more recent instructors in relatively more recent modern times. There are people like, for example, Master Arnold Narzo, right, who quit his full-time job, previous full.
Full-time.
You know, you have to like consider this guy is like feeding his family of what, 2 or 3, with just teaching. You know, and then you're going to like say like, oh, I have no money to pay you, and later on like have money to pay to buy like a nice knife and a nice like whatever. It's kind of like so disrespectful to your master. And next, so like, how much do you really value your art? Are you just there to exercise? Do you just like the social aspect? Or do you really want to learn? You know, if you really wanted to learn and what, then you should be like putting value on what you have, and put on value on your master, and say like, I need to support this master because like without him, I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to get what I want. But if you're just there, like if you're one of those that are just like, I'm just here because I got nothing to do on a Sunday, or I got nothing to do on a Wednesday, and I like the social aspect of just being at the gym, then great, you know. But that's up to the instructor to just kick the person out. Hey, you're not paying, you know, and what do I care about you? You're not a potential like. Again, there's also 2 types of students, right? I know the things like students always generalize like, oh, this guy got away with like training for free. Mike Tyson probably got his from what's his name?
Castiamato.
Castiamato, right? They had like a father-son relationship, but people always way to like, oh, Tyson got training from Castiamato for free, so I shouldn't be paying Castiamato this much, like to teach. That's not true. Like Castiamato took Tyson in because he had potential, you know. So I'll teach this guy for free.
He became Mike Tyson.
With martial arts, you know, like not all students necessarily pay, because some instructors like are thinking like, all right, this is probably my future number 2, or this is gonna be my future like fight team member, so I'm gonna give him a break.
Yeah.
You know, but other students who are not there yet, or even also just art, think like, well, this guy's not paying, I'm not gonna pay.
And those are, again, you mentioned culture, it's entitlement.
Yeah, but that's where the instructor has to weed students to think like, all right, this guy's also a waste of my time.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a future virtuoso either, or he's something that still has to be molded for years to change his biomechanics, and I'm gonna put in all that effort, and he doesn't want to pay. Versus this like, you know, because he's thinking that he's the same as this natural guy who just came in that I just adopted. Yeah. So you have to know where your place is. I mean,
and it's interesting, you know, it's a just interesting point that you brought up, Buster, about not being paid, not necessarily in money. That's very interesting. Like, you know, like you said, you know, that's their social life. So they might have died poor, but maybe they were happy, you know, that way. Yeah, but you know, even with that, I've noticed that, you know, even there's some students who can't even give that. you just ask, like, for example, you tell people, okay, we're gonna have a special session on this day. All you have to do is show up. Nobody shows up.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
you
won't
don't have to.
support.
Okay, we have this event. It's for everyone. All you have to do, you don't even have to help out. All you have to do
Mm.
is maybe like or share the posts that we make.
Mm-hmm.
They won't even do that.
Yep.
So it's that flip side of the fanatical investors. People who really don't want to invest.
See,
And
that's my hugot, huh?
oh, no, 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 no.
May
Actually,
hugot.
yeah.
Stating facts. Stating facts. That stating facts.
It sounds like it's from experience, okay?
No, no,
Anyway,
no. Yeah, well, it is really.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a matter of fact, because you can't make people think the way you do. Like you said, Sophie, yourself, you are fanatical investors. We are fanatical investors, no? In fact, even this podcast, we're doing this. How many people are actually listening to us? But
People are actually listening.
they are, yes. They are, yes. But, we have
Diba?
other podcasts, like, they have 15,000 likes. I think we have, at most, I think we have 100. But we do it anyway. We do it anyway because we're crazy. And we love what we do, what we love we do. For every person who's like us, there's like a million others who would rather just sleep, at like 11:30 at night, and us, we're here, we're talking.
It's passion. It's passion.
It's passion, yes, and it's what we want. It's what we want to do. Like, Baste was pointing it out. Tayo, we're all the same. Like, all our friends are out and we're training. When my experiences, ever since I got into this group, whenever I would see my friends who I would go out with, whenever they see me, they go, "Oh, okay. Oh, Dax is here. We can go pick a fight now." It's like you're branded. Just because you're doing martial arts, people think that you're a war freak, which is farthest from the truth. I've noticed that people who want to fight are the people who don't want to fight. It's a fact. People who are, when they go on their road rages, it's the people who actually don't fight, because they don't know. They think that they're gonna knock the person out with one punch. But people who train, the consequences, that it's not that easy. It's a different mindset. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, we've been talking about investments and all of that, as teachers and as students, because you never stop learning. What are your recommendations as to people who really want to invest and develop into a true martial artist? Let's start with you, Baste.
Okay.
Let's start with you. Like, recommendations for people out there who really want to get into this journey.
Well, firstly, you have to understand yourself. Like, what are you? Understand the reason why you're into something. Again, like, know your goals. Like, are you here for, like, just working out? Are you here for just learning a few things? Are you here for self-defense? I want to learn some things. At least I'm not, like a fish out of water, and be able to use some stuff. Do I want to be a master? And do I want to be an instructor? So those are things you have to figure out for yourselves first. Once you figure that out, then you'll be able to, like, figure out how much time, money, effort, emotions you want to invest on things, and then also, like, come up with the corresponding sacrifices you have to do, because you only have like 24 hours per day to dedicate, and also just so much money to allocate, and also so much emotion and effort to put into things. So to prioritize that, you have to know where you stand in terms of martial arts, But if you're within, like, that tier of at least being a master or instructor, then yeah, I mean, like, as much as, like, what everything else is, like, to be great is to involve sacrifice. To be great is to have discipline, and to be great is to invest, as much as you can in an efficient way. And also, once you've found good mentors, good instructors, that's the important part. you know, because mentors and instructors get you to exactly where you want to go efficiently and in the shortest amount of time. And also, basically, they all would also get you exactly where you want to go, to the right direction. So once you've found those right people, invest in them and make sure that, you know, you keep them happy and you get what you want. The thing is, people don't see what instructors sacrifice too. Like one of my mentors, like Arnold Narzo, sacrificed his stable paying job to be a full-time instructor, you know, because like what? He promised his grandmaster Mang Tony Diego that he would like continue on to
The
propagate the
legacy, yeah. I want to
like
continue the
make sure
legacy.
that he keeps that he continues on teaching at Luneta, which is a tradition that he promised to do, you know. So we have to understand that this guy's feeding his what, like two kids and his wife, and he's doing this full time. It's not like making this to become a millionaire, but at least give him his due, you know. So that's my take on it. Like once you found a mentor, spend on the guy,
Right.
you know.
Franco,
Uh,
investing in martial arts.
for students, use technology to your advantage. Do your research so that you don't waste time. So that you don't waste your time, you don't waste your instructor's time, you don't waste anybody's time. Well, now when you start to when you finally decided what to train and where to train, invest and focus more time on the training, not on the equipment. I mean, these are just secondary things. You have to dedicate and invest majority of yourself to the actual training, to be part of the process, to appreciate everything that comes with training in martial arts. And then later on, if you think that you and your current coach is the perfect fit, I guarantee you it's going to be a lifelong relationship. If you feel that it's not the perfect fit, it's totally fine. It's totally normal. You can go somewhere else. And for coaches, coaches have to constantly invest in themselves. You have to constantly improve. You have to make it worth your students' time. It is our responsibility to provide value, whether our students will realize it today, tomorrow, and the next few years. Whether there are students now or they're going to be in someone else's students later on. The lessons that we will share with them, they will carry for the rest of their life. So we have this, whether we like it or not, we have that responsibility. And ako, I'm a firm believer that if you invest in yourself, it will translate to better instruction and that will return to you with more students.
Sixto?
Okay. When you want to invest into something, the first thing you have to, this is as a student, you have to decide how deep do you want to get into something. For example, I tried Canva once. I just wanted to try it. I wanted to check it out. So I just went there, just borrowed a loaner sword, shinai. That's it. I didn't have to spend for anything because I just wanted to try it out. Right now, I'm learning fencing. I bought cheap equipment. My sword is about 1,400 pesos. That's a cheap sword. I know people whose swords are worth 5,000 pesos. Some are even worth 10,000 or 15,000 pesos. So you have to decide how deep do you want to get into that. In my case, I decided to be deep into FMA, where I spend lots and lots of money. And if you have to choose between instruction or equipment, don't be a dick. Focus on instruction. You'll get more out of it. Equipment may be borrowed. You can get second-hand equipment. You can get cheap equipment, but to look for proper instruction is difficult. So my suggestion is focus on investing on instruction. Being a coach, being a trainer, being a teacher, you have to decide again what do you want to get out of it. If you just want to get paid for your time, there's nothing wrong. Don't be shy about it. You should be able to ask for proper remuneration. If you're not after money, ask your students to show up. Ask them to be on time, or ask them to do small favors for you if they say they don't have money. So I guess that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, investment is always time. To me, when you say investment, it's synonymous with time and money. So if you want to invest in something and you want that investment to bear fruit, like for example, like when we do martial arts, if you want that to bear fruit, then you have to invest. Now, my personal experience in that is that, and I learned this also from U16, no, that you really have to spend. You really have to spend on quality. There's no two ways about it. And as Baste pointed out also, it's not always monetary. Sometimes it's companionship, sometimes it's respect. But you have to pay, money or otherwise. Now personally, the way I did it was, as I mentioned before, I'm not the most liquid of people. I don't always have that much money. But what I did was, to be able to finance it, I made money, so that I could train. So like, what does that mean? I sold equipment. I would buy these trainers from Amazon. I would always buy, like, for example, I wanted one of those resin training swords. I would buy, just one, instead of just buying one, I would invest, buy 5 with my credit card and sell the other 4. And that would finance the equipment that I would buy, and also for the lessons. And the same thing, I would teach, and then from the money that I earned, I would buy, equipment. So it's to me, going back to what you guys saying, especially Baste was saying that, what are you? What is it that you want from it? Basically, I want to train and also to make it to something to augment my livelihood. So if that's what you want, then you shouldn't be ashamed to charge, like Sixto says. Shouldn't be ashamed to charge. But at the same time, like what Franco has been saying, you also owe it to your students to invest in yourself as well as a teacher. You can't just rest on your laurels saying that, oh, okay, I'm a master, I'm a teacher, whatever. So, I can do whatever I want, and you get what you deserve. So it's not fair. So, but yeah, it really boils down to, you invest if you want something to come out of it. Anyway, yeah, I think this was a very good discussion.
Yeah, good discussion.
I'd like to thank Ramon again of Kiro, the secretary.
Shout out to Ramon.
Ramon, very good. Thank you. And if anyone wants
Pasing's
to,
barbecue.
yes, Pasing's barbecue. Sisig, the
Sponsored this
yes.
episode is sponsored by Pasing's
We
barbecue.
are taking donations from Pasing's barbecue. Feel free to.
Okay, guys, the thing about Ramon, who suggested this topic, he has a restaurant. It's Pasing's Barbecue. He has been supporting a lot of people who
Yes,
lost their livelihoods. They
good
lost their jobs. And what he did was he kept on giving food to people who needed it. And he kept doing that for months.
Yep.
So guys, if guys in the Philippines, if you can go to Navotas, or you can order through Grab or Lalamove, please order some food from Pasing's Barbecue. He has helped, and until now he's helping a lot of people survive this pandemic.
All right. So, thank you everyone for listening to our episode, and hopefully next time you still tune into us, and maybe you learn something. If you don't, then too bad. At least.
Okay, everyone, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Please like this video. Please follow all our social media channels. So there's Libre Fighting Philippines, Urban Combatives Philippines, and Carlos Hermanos Philippines, and Kiro. So Calis Ilustrísimo, Repetición Original. They're all on Facebook. You just have to like their pages.
Yes, and also subscribe to Coach Franco's YouTube page, Coach Franco Says.
Yep.
Okay.
My podcast is Coach Franco Says. Just type in my name, and all
he has a lot of
are there.
platforms. Like all of them. Follow all of them. Subscribe to all of them.
And also we're on audio. In case you didn't know.
Oo nga pala! Oo nga
We're on
pala!
Spotify. We're on
Recent
Anchor.
developments.
We
You can
will-
listen to the FMA Bandits
Yes.
on the major podcasting audio platforms. So we're going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on Anchor, Castbox, and Radio Public.
At this point, we have more platforms than listeners.
Yes. Oh, hindi hindi
Oh,
We're averaging more than 100.
Oh, see, there you go.
For a very lengthy discussion, people, and we have an international audience, by the way. We're probably the smallest podcast in the Philippines with an international audience.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
So again,
Congratulations to us.
just plugging on my groups again on Facebook. You got the Carlos Hermanos Concepts group. You got again the
Combat.com.
Manila
Combat.com.
Combat.com.
I enjoy
Combat.com.
Combat.com, and you got
Authentic,
authentic traditional Filipino authentic traditional Filipino weapons group, and you got the Filipino martial history group as well. You got the Dos Manos Concepts group, and you have the Dos Armas and the knife concepts group as well. But the most important one that would link all these is like the Carlos Hermanos Concepts group. Once you get there, it's all linked. Just find it, get them all, and you'll find us there. If you like our content, go join us.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You're welcome to join.
That's why we know what we're talking, because we're doers, not talkers.
You don't even have to like us. You just join.
Just listen, just view.
Just listen, you know. All right. Thank you, guys. Till next
Guys, thank you so much.
Stay safe.
All right,
Stay safe.
people. Peace.